the chart thing we just did, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I know, like last year, I think we like death fought down for like the top 20 games on the Switch.
We did, because they were in a list at the bottom.
I almost want, depending on where we are for time, we may fight.
There was
I completely forgot that there was a list.
10 games on the Switch, 1 game on the 3DS. Top 10 games of the year. Maybe while we're doing this, if somebody could hop into Patreon and check those votes, and we'll see how people voted.
Yeah.
I should have done that today, and I just did not.
I can jump over Patreon right now.
Okay, cool. Maybe just do little tally marks, and we'll see how did you vote Game of the Year for fans.
All right, we're streaming. We have been for almost a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me find our thing. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 210. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 210. Recorded today, December 20th, 2018. On tonight's episode, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bit of an interesting and special episode. It is our annual Game of the Year conversation. Will your games make the list? What was your favorite moments? What were your least favorite moments of Game of the Year? And so much more. Jesse, cue the music.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to episode 210 of Nintendo Dads. I am Marty Estes, and joining me tonight for our Game of the Year episode and rundown of all of the best Nintendo moments of the year, and maybe even a little Nintendo too. We've got 2 of the finest gentlemen on the intrawebs. First and foremost, from VG Tribune, Mr. Jesse Waldack. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Greetings, I am well. I'm hoping that my audio was working on the stream. I've asked him to give me cues in chat, and he says to bring it up, so I'll work on that.
Yeah, what Jesse's referring to is that sometime in the past week, his computer decided to take a massive dump all over our audio by resetting everything to default.
And
so if it's
default is not what I want.
Where it needs to be, then trust us, we're working on it, and hopefully we can get it back where it needs to be within the next couple of weeks. Also, speaking of being back where they need to be for the next couple of weeks, Mr. Justin Masson, how are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you. And I would actually say it's not for the next couple weeks. Next time we record, I'm not here either. But it's great to be back. It really is. Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm
just excited that you remember us common folk and pop on.
Every once in a while, I like to slum with the commoners, right? I mean, that's how we do here. That's how we do. No, it's great to be back actually, and excited for the content we've got today. Game of the Year is one of my favorite conversations, and then obviously what are we anticipating for 2019? So much to jump into.
Absolutely. And guys, I am excited to be back as well. I took last week off of the show due to a medical emergency in my family. If you guys have been following along on Twitter and Facebook and other social media platforms with me, you know what's going on, but I won't go into it here. But just want to say to our fans, thanks so much for your support during that. Actually, got a card in the mail today from one of our fans who just messaged me on Discord and was like, hey, can I have your address? I'd like to send you something. And that was such a nice touch. He knows who it is that I'm talking about. So thanks for that. And thanks for everybody for being understanding when any and all of us have to be away, because we love the show, but sometimes we just can't help it. Right?
Absolutely.
Yep. We're either on holiday or sick or whatever else, but hey, we're here tonight, and that's what matters. And so let's just jump right into the bevy of news that we've got, shall we?
Do it.
And our news is brought to us, as usual, by us and you over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you can make a huge difference and help us create awesome and amazing Nintendo Dads content. And just a little sneak peek, pulling the curtain back, guys. We are looking at how we can, what's a good word here, Justin? Reconfigure,
Maximize
your, your Patreon experience. Let's put it that way. And so look for some tweaks and some things coming in 2019 that I think you're going to enjoy, and will just help us get more content to you and different things like that. So again, thanks to everybody who supports us over on Patreon. You guys are the best. Let's talk about some of the biggest news this week. The biggest news of the week are sales figures that Nintendo is now reporting in the wake of Smash Bros. Ultimate dropping, as well as Black Friday. Nintendo in the United States, or in North America, has now reported that the Switch is the fastest selling console of this console generation. And basically what that means is that they took a 21-month period and looked at sales, and versus PS4 versus Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch from March of 2017 to November of 2018 sold 8.7 million units, which outsold the PS4 and the Xbox One during the same time frame. Also during this time, they reported that Nintendo is now the overall top-selling software publisher of 2018, and that Smash Bros. Ultimate is the fastest-selling console game of all time in Europe. Also reported with this, and we'll talk about these after this number, is that in 3 days, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate sold over 5 million copies, which is just bonkers to me. Justin, what can we infer, or what can we glean from these numbers?
I mean, I think from a sales perspective, those are all good things, right? These are all absolutely fantastic things for Nintendo. I don't think it's a huge shock. I think we always, when we looked at this quarter for Nintendo and for both the platform and the content, there was a ton of movers there, right? Some big names. Of course, we always know the Pokemon moves units. We always know that, and we know that they back-end it with Smash. I don't necessarily know if Smash is a system seller to the degree that I think, in my opinion, that with other games might be. But I think what we are actually seeing is that coming to fruition. I also think with an install of like 5 million, or with a purchase rate of 5 million, I think that's a great indicator that Nintendo has another massive hit on their hands, which is, I don't think, a huge shock, right? We know there's such a fan base, a ravenous fan base about it. I think really, more than anything, it's a good sign for Nintendo. And I know that we talked a little bit about it last week with the numbers as well. And the reason that we harp on numbers for sales, and everyone's like, I know the Switch is doing good, I know. But why is this important to you? Why is this important to you as a listener? Well, here's why. The better that Nintendo does, the more likely it is that you are going to get more games to the console that you may not have got before. So what I mean by that is a company, let's say something like Blizzard, or let's say a company like Bethesda, who maybe traditionally may not have been developing for the Switch, can say, man, there's a huge install base. There's a huge opportunity for us to move or to port or to introduce one of our games that may have been on other systems to this platform and potentially have success.
Right. Larger install base equals more third-party games.
Correct, right?
We know this.
Or more indies, right? So when we used to always shake the tree of like, hey, when is this game coming to Switch? When is this game coming to Switch? We've now seen a shift in the conversation from when is it coming to Switch is it's on Switch day and date, right? And I think the reason that we've seen that shift is because of the fundamental growth and the sales that Nintendo has behind them. So I think it's a really great story. Again, not the fact that the platform is lacking content, but this is why these numbers are so important for a developer to be aware of.
Yeah, and let's share a few other numbers here that I think are important. These are U.S. only numbers, but I think it's important to throw them out. Nintendo hardware unit and dollar sales for 2018 are at their highest annual totals since 2011, which, if you remember, was just before the launch of the Wii U, which ironically almost tanked Nintendo. But this is during the Wii era. It's during the height of kind of they're riding the crest of that popularity going into the Wii U. And so we've seen an upturn there. Nintendo eShop sales have grown 105% over 2017, which I think that's a number that's kind of like a duh number because you've got so many more systems out in the wild, right? Of course, there's going to be more eShop purchases, especially with them pushing the double coins, the digital, the pre-purchase, things like that. Also, evergreen Nintendo Switch games now have set new milestones. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has sold over 4 million units in the United States. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has now sold over 5 million units in the U.S., and Mario Odyssey has sold over 4.7 million units. It's also important, I think, to note that Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee total together 2 million units sold already in the United States alone, and Super Mario Party has already sold 1.4 million.
Yeah. Again, I mean, these are fantastic things for Nintendo, fantastic things for us as fans as well, and it's nice to be on a winning team. I don't know if
it's nice to not to feel like you have to say, but you've just got to get to know the Wii U, it feels good to be, and I'll borrow a term here that people have used for Apple, for an Apple phone, iPhone, iPad, and even computers back in the day. It's good to be an evangelist and not an apologist.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
An evangelist shares good news or shares good information. An apologist has to defend.
Yeah.
And so I would much rather be a Nintendo evangelist than I would an apologist. And I think we're Nintendo fans are sitting in a time right now where they can be, because the Switch, people are talking about it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, 8.7 million in the US, but elsewhere, I mean, throughout the world, it's sold more. I would say, we're now at like cultural saturation. Like, it's hard not to know what a Nintendo Switch is.
Yeah, it was actually really quite funny. I had some friends over about 6 weeks ago, and they hadn't played the Switch, and sometimes I'm like, oh, are they really into video games? And we give a shot, and so we said, we'll play Overcooked, for example. And sometimes I forget because we're such. We were there when the Switches arrived, right? We were day one purchasers. We always know it, but the magic of the device,
mm-hmm.
right? And so I remember we were just playing on the big screen, so I bust off some Joy-Cons and said, here you go, and they're like, so all the processing is done there? I was like, yeah, it's on that. That's it. They're like, really? And I was like, yeah, and I pulled it off the dock, and just that that seamless moment of it transitioning easily, and then showing them and like playing all the games together. We were playing Overcooked too, and then they were like, oh wow, this is a ton of fun. And so it was kind of one of those things where, sometimes with the Wii U it's kind of like, okay, you have to do this and this and this and that. Just wait, give it a couple more moments. Again, that apologist point, but you kind of forget that magic. And then like the next day, I got a message from them. They're like, So when I'm picking up the Switch, what do I need to pick up with it? Do you know what I mean? Like, and it was like, oh, okay, wow, so you have gone that already. Do you know what I mean? The short experience with it has already done it. And I had another friend who was over here in July, and we just played some games with them. They're staying with us for about 10 days. Played some games with them as we do in the evenings, and that was it. And then we got a message when they got back to Canada, and they're like, yes, we bought a Switch. What games can we play with you right now? And so again, it's that magic.
Where I think that this is sitting right now is that we're noticing that the Switch is comfortably sliding into kind of and being a hybrid console. It's in a hybrid position between a core gaming device and a casual gaming device, because the ease of being able to like you said, bust those Joy-Cons off the side and give one to somebody, it's able to casually capture people who may not normally have a game, be able to play a game, or wouldn't normally play a video game, because they'll look at that and they'll go, oh, what is this? What's
mm-hmm. going
on here? And there's enough offerings that, we're pretty much hitting all the genres now of what people like, even casual stuff like Jackbox and puzzle games and things like that. But I think Nintendo has to be careful. And one of the things that I think is going to be a challenge for them in 2019, with all these new users and all these new sales and things is that the eShop, it has a problem.
Yeah.
And you'll see that, like, even today, like if you're listening right now, listening on YouTube, or you're listening to this the next day or whenever you listen to it, go boot up the eShop right now if you can, and look at the offerings that came out this week. And look, I'm just going to call it. It's crap. It's the biggest load of shovelware junk that has probably come out in a long time on the Switch. And I know their push is like that 20 games a week, but if it's 20 junk games a week, I mean, like right now, one of the number one downloaded games, and I'm not judging this game because I know we've reviewed it, is Bouncy Bob. Do you know why it's one of the number one downloaded games on the Switch right now? Because it's a penny.
Penny. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a penny.
Wow.
And like Membrane is on there too, which I think is a great game. And they've lowered the price for it to $1. That's a much better game. Just in my opinion. Even just looking at it. But Nintendo has to be careful that the market in their eShop is not overcome and ruled by cheaply made shovelware games that they can offer for a penny or offer for $1 or whatever, that overshadows all this other stuff and just pushes it down. Well, and I know we've talked about that a lot before, but I think that like the momentum's great, but it's not good if you like games keep the momentum, not hardware.
Well, and this is the exact same situation that we saw predominantly with the Wii, right? Once it hit that market saturation, and I guess maybe that's the touchstone to understand whether a console, how it's hit the zeitgeist, so to say, is, are we now getting shovelware? Are we? And I mean, yes, there's always a degree of shovelware for everything, and what's one man's pile of poop can be another man's treasure, right? So if you're like, man, I love those.
Compare the situation last year to where we are this year, December 2017 to December 2018.
Correct.
And you will see a stark difference in the offerings in the eShop.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think they said, I read some of their over 1,300 games, 13 1300 on the eShop available.
Yep.
And
we still can't look at them by category.
No. So I mean that is a problem for Nintendo, and I think that's something that has to get fixed sooner than later. And I don't imagine that getting better, right? So we need to, there needs to be a better way to identify content, right? And I think the other challenge is now that everyone recognizes that the Switch is a viable place to go. I think you're going to start losing out on some of those, like what I would call indie darling successes and success stories of like, hey, the Switch has changed my sales, because now everybody's there, and you're going to lose those games and the focus on them. I think a great example is Blossom's Tale. Blossom's Tale last year.
I was just thinking of that. Yeah.
Because of the fact that the Switch wasn't bombarded by their ecosystem was not the way it was able to easily rise to the top and say like, wow, this is an amazing game and you need to pay attention to it. Now, I also think there was a lot of social marketing around that from influencers that helped pick that up. But I mean, that game was launched like between, I believe it was Christmas and New Year's. Like, it was not a game that probably would have like really come to the mind. But what happened was that it was able to be identified, it was able to be kind of highlighted, and it was able to have a huge success. And I know the developer said, yeah, we had amazing success on the Switch because of it. I do not think that you will find those what I would call indie darling stories anymore when an eShop is as bloated as it is. Now, the other challenge is it Nintendo's job to say, no, that's not going on our eShop? Because now you're denying a content creator something else for them to do.
No, and that would just create another, like, that would spew or spin off a negative article immediately.
Yeah.
Nintendo's denying content creators, blah 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 blah. They're elitist and they're this and they're that. So it's almost a no-win situation in that case.
In fact, they just made eShop worse, because I just looked what we used to do. Go to recent releases, scroll down to the bottom, and then there was a see all, and then you can see the total number of downloads, and then have a few filters. They don't have that anymore. It just keeps scrolling and adding new cells. So unless you know what you're looking for, good luck finding it. Unless it's been out in the last 2 weeks.
I've actually gotten to a point now that I have, because of just the way that the ecosystem has been, that like if I hear a game So I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. I wonder if that's on the Switch. I have to go like Google search, is this on the Switch? Essentially, right? You know, like
Yeah, I'll normally go to the Nintendo website, search it there, and if it is there and available, I'll buy it from there.
yeah,
Just so I don't
Well,
have to go into the
coming
eShop.
soon, even the coming soon tab on the eShop is a mess right now. If you go look at it, it's all like, and I'm sure there's a few indie good ones in there, you know, whatever. But like it just looks like all shovelware and Mario Deluxe, you know, Mario Wii U Deluxe, and like they're already up to like April on their releases, on their coming soon. Like you could pre-purchase a game that comes out in April. Yeah. Why are you able to pre-purchase a game now in December that comes out in April? Like I don't. And I know Nintendo's in some hot water about their pre-purchase stuff, but still, like there needs to be some management. Like there, at least like let's do a third-party, first-party section, or I mean, I hate to say it, but the Wii U's eShop was so much better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was so much better. And they had like, you know, the special Christmas section and like, here's games for, did you just buy a Wii U? Here's some new ones to start with and things like that. The Switch desperately needs that so much. And I know that we've kind of diverged and are talking about something completely different than sales totals and things here at the very beginning. But I think this dovetails with this so much because you're going to have in less than 7 days, you're going to have a brand new legion of Switch owners who open up that box for the first time and are either like going to the eShop to download Smash or Pokemon Let's Go or whatever, and they're going to see all these other games. And how do they find, Overcooked and Monster Boy and Dead Cells and Enter the Gungeon and The Messenger and Jackbox Party Pack? How do they find all the gems when they're snowed under?
Right.
That's the kindest way I can put it.
Sure. Well, I guess my counter argument to that, Marty, if I'm playing devil's advocate, right, would probably be if you were to say like, where do I go? I would scroll down to bestsellers. Right. And I guess in theory, but then again, you're right. Like Bouncing Bob.
It's swayed by popular opinion.
It's swayed by the fact that
it's swayed by developers offering. I mean, just even from talking to like and knowing Jules Watson, I mean, like he has admitted before, I dropped the price so that people would recognize that the game was out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so developers are known to do that. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing to do. I'm just saying that happens. And we have to understand that, now bestsellers, as far as like, if you look at the download only, I think that's swayed by popular opinion and sales. On the other hand, I think that the regular bestsellers, that accounts for physical sales as well. So I think that's probably.
Yeah, it's interesting when you kind of, again, to your point, like if you flip that switch, right? Bouncy Bob is number 2.
We could Nintendo Dads, we could hire a dev and make like the Nintendo Dads Take Over the World game and sell it for a penny on the eShop and, get to number 1, because there's a ton of people. I've seen this on like the Nintendo voice chat group on Facebook. It's like, oh, it's a penny, I'll try it.
Mm-hmm.
And every download pushes it on up the list.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It may not even be a great game.
Just like me and the Skunk games on the Wii U. They lowered it down to free. So I'm like, sure, I'll buy that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about some other things. Jesse, you included some things here about Pokemon Go. Lots of updates. We know that PvP has now started. It's getting down for lower levels as well. EX raid targets are now Deoxys attack form. Level 5 raid targets are now Heatran. January Community Day is coming up January 12th, and you'll be able to get Totodile. He will spawn in greater number. And then there's going to be some holiday events coming up through the end of the year. It's going on right now through January 2nd. There will be an increase of wild ice-type Pokemon. Pikachu will have a festive Santa hat. There will also be 7-kilometer egg pool changes, daily single-use incubator when spinning your first Pokestop, and Delibird spawns return with a chance to be shiny. Then from the 18th through the 22nd, You can get double catch candy and double transfer candy. And Jesse puts a note here, good time to open that Meltan box. And Jesse, you have a Mel medal now.
I do. So I started yesterday with 220 candies. When I ended, I had 450.
Yeah.
So just from one day. So I evolved one into a Mel medal. I'm going to level that up. Once that's leveled up, then I'll start grinding out for a second Mel medal so I can transfer into Let's Go.
That would be awesome. For the 18th through the 26th, you can get double catch Stardust. From the 26th through the 30th, double catch XP. And from the 30th through the 2nd, incubators at 200% efficiency. Guys, if you are traveling during the holidays, going to see family, going to relatives, going out shopping or returning things, this is a great time to catch up on some of these deals and raids and things through Pokemon Go. And also, if you just go to your relative's house and you just need to get out of there because you can't listen to your uncle anymore, there you go. Good time to go walk around the block and catch some Pokemon. And Niantic knows that. Let's talk about a few updates to games that you probably want to know about. Mario Tennis Aces, Smash Brothers Ultimate, Splatoon, and ARMS. And then we'll move into our Game of the Year. Let's start with ARMS. The next ARMS Party Crash Bash is this weekend. It's actually going on today as you hear this, December 21st. It is Helix versus Max Brass. And as you know, the Party Crash can get you buttons. It can get you all kinds of, levels and XP and things like that. And so be sure to check that out if you're still playing ARMS. Splatoon 2 has been updated to 4.3.1. Basically just performance changes to main, sub, and special weapons, bug fixes, and Team Villains won the latest Splatfest. The villains from Smash Brothers, they were able to win that Splatfest that just happened this weekend, and most likely that is the last Splatfest for the year until the Frosty Splatfest starts in early January.
Now, sorry, if I can make a public service announcement, Marty,
Sure.
Regarding the Frosty Fest, I would remind you that to get your Frosty Fest gear, the winter in-game gear, you need to go over to the the channel list, the news section of your Nintendo Switch, and go into the Squid Research Lab bulletin. And there, at the very bottom, there is a area where you're going to be able to get your free gifts, which includes a New Year's Glasses DX, a Twisty headband, a festive party cone, and an eel cake hat. And then you're basically going to need to use the Play Splatoon, and it will drop off a package into your game. So
I'm really glad you reminded me to do that, because I would have just went into the game.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would have done that. So thank you for that.
Let me just make sure it says that. Make sure your researchers have 3 notes about this. Make sure card digital. Make sure the game is up to date with the latest version. Be sure to click the link before this article ink dives off your newsfeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
awesome. Thank you for that. So Splatoon 2 updated to 4.3.1. Again, there are no new content updates coming for Splatoon 2 anymore, just game balances and things from this point forward. And let's talk about Mario Tennis Aces. I'm going to say something here before we talk about this. This is a game that Nintendo has forced me to eat my words on. Because if you have listened to this show, I have referred to Mario Tennis Aces as a garbage fire rolling downhill before. However, with all of the updates that are coming in 2019 and the updating they've done this year, I really can't find much to complain about this game. You kind of know what you're getting when you buy it. You're going to get Mario Tennis. It's going to be kind of party style tennis, but there is some depth there, and I'm really glad I've got it. But like the quality of life and other things that have been happening, I think Nintendo has really made an effort, as well as Camelot, to listen to people and try to make this a better game. I'm still disappointed in the single player mode, but I don't think there's anything they can do to fix that at this point. I think their focus is on multiplayer.
Yeah.
And so Mario Tennis Aces has been updated to 2.1.1. What is coming in this update and future updates is quality of life and important connection adjustments have been made to online tournaments, specifically in doubles mode. There were some disconnection issues where people would go online and they would match up from different places, and they would want to continue to play even if they lost or something, they would want to continue to play together. And even though they hit continue, the game would separate them anyway. So they fixed that. Adjustments have been made to courts, so tennis balls will not hit poles, and they're planning to make future adjustments to court visibility. And they also fixed a special shot glitch and a background glitch when two PD piranhas were playing each other, like the background of the portrait, when it came up, verses would be black on one of them. And so they fixed that. So even little attention to detail, they're continuing to add to this game. And again, we have the new characters coming next year. We've got Pauline and Luma and is it Boom Boom?
I think so, but I can't remember. Yeah, they've done a great job of this kind of continual support model of this game. Again, we saw this with ARMS. We've seen this with Mario Tennis. We've seen it with Splatoon. And it's a game where, and I think to your point, I think, the initial takes on this, I think, were not great. But I think Nintendo, and I mean, it's kind of like games, and I don't want to use Fallout 76 here as an example, but when a developer says, we hear you and let's see what we can do about this, right? And here's our plan. And so I mean, I think there was always a strategic plan of hey, we're going to roll out more characters, not a big shock there, but also oh boy, there's some patches we need to do here. Right. So, I mean, there could be arguments of well, are you sending out a half-baked game and this is part of the strategy of it, or is it broken? Nonetheless, I would say that I'm very much like you, Marty. I have kind of turned the corner on Mario Tennis. I didn't hate it. It just it was okay, but I've enjoyed it more and more and more. And I find I go back to it every single month to get my character, which is exactly what they want us to do. And usually when I'm there, I'm oh yeah, I'll play a match or two. Right. So I find it fun.
Yeah, and you know what? It's great with kids. It's actually a really fun game to play with kids, and you don't have to know a lot about tennis, or you don't have to be great at tennis, or even interested in tennis in real life to enjoy this game. And I think that's the beauty of it. And one thing I will have to commend Nintendo on is that they are doing this without having really announced they're doing this. Right? It's not when Splatoon 2 came out, they're and we're going to have Splatfest for 2 years, and we're going to have full-on support with new modes for a year. They didn't say any of that with Mario Tennis Aces. Very soon after it released, they were oh yeah, we're going to give you some new characters via online tournament mode, right? Yeah. But they've not talked about all of the updates and all of the things like the Boo mode and different things like that they were going to add to the game. And so I think kudos to them for coming back and really adding value to this game. I think now I can honestly say it's worth the money that it costs, which is something you could never, ever say about Mario Tennis Ultra Smash.
Sure, yeah.
At all. There's nothing they could have done to say that. That was a garbage fire. Speaking of a game that's not a garbage fire, Smash Brothers Ultimate has been updated to 1.2.0 as of this week. What they have done is they did issue some patch notes, and there's a little controversy about these patch notes. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. The first thing they did was to adjust the difficulty of approaching challengers. In other words, when you started to unlock characters, some people just could not beat them. They could not unlock any characters, and so they adjusted that. I found that before the patch, it was a little bit more difficult. I also found that the difficulty on those characters ramped up the more that you unlocked. The first one just kind of stood there and let you, do whatever. But before the last one I unlocked right before the patch, it was okay, I may not unlock any more characters.
I thought that was the intention, was that difficulty would ramp up. Yeah.
It's always been that way. I always remember unlockable characters in Smash. You got to be careful. But I did like in this game, they give you the opportunity to go under the blue, games and more or whatever, and they after a certain time it would have the door and you could go in and pick challengers approaching and go back. But this update makes them a little bit more easy to get. It also has a tweak that makes your preferred rules prioritized in quick play online matchmaking, or prioritizes them more. They have made an improvement in the stability of connection with online battle arenas. I want to say this. Gary and I played Smash yesterday for about 30 minutes. And with him being in England and me being here in the United States, it was great. It was fantastic. Like, I mean, it was in the middle of the day. It was around lunchtime, like noonish for me. I didn't have any problems. We used the Nintendo app. We chatted. We fought. It was great. So your mileage may vary. I mean, I've heard some horror stories about the online, but I've been playing a lot more online this week because I finally got all the characters unlocked, and I don't see what the issue is. Maybe, and like a lot of times my internet here at my office, it can be potato quality. So I don't know. One other balance that was made in this update, and we'll see this continuing in further updates, is a character balance. And Masahiro Sakurai said that this was coming, that we would see this happen a lot. Balanced characters include Donkey Kong, Link, Kirby, Ice Climbers, Young Link, Olimar, Toon Link, Villager, Greninja, Pac-Man, Duck Hunt Duo, and Isabelle. Where the controversy comes in for this update is that the patch notes were specific for everything but the balancing. And when asked, they just said, "We can't tell you." What do you guys think about that? We can't tell you.
I don't know.
Well,
I can't
they definitely can, but that's kind of like inside baseball that they don't want to share.
But why? They share all of that about Splatoon. They tell you every little tweak that's made to Splatoon. It's like such and such is 33% more powerful, or 33% farther.
I want
10 points extra to get your special.
I wonder if it's how ravenous the Smash Brothers community is, and the feedback that if someone said we changed it by X, that they could potentially receive. That is just a potential nightmare headache for them.
Oh, I'm sure. Because, I mean, this is also the community where Sakurai had to come out and say, "Stop tweeting me about this character in Smash or that character in Smash." Nintendo's already picked them. We're done. It's like I keep waiting for him to come out and like literally say the meme that's about him. "Don't ask me for anything ever again." Like, I've done all of this. There's tons of layers and of the onion to peel back in Smash already. Why do you want more?
I wonder if this includes the bug fix for Isabelle's Infinite trophies.
No, because it actually released before that bug fix, or before that bug was discovered.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what the timing was on that. But
I got this update on a Tuesday.
That's a fun bug to watch.
It was either I got this update either on late Monday or early Tuesday, and then I believe that I saw the video about the assist trophy bug on Tuesday at like lunchtime. So, yeah, and that is a fantastic bug to watch. Have you seen the one where I know the big thing was Waluigi, in the beginning, because like it's what everybody wanted. Have you seen the one with Rathalos?
No.
Oh my God. It's like 400 Rathalos.
I think GameXplain did a video showing every single one. I didn't sit through and watch it all because there were like 57 of them.
It was either way, it's pretty funny, and I can guarantee you that in 1.3.0 or 1.2.5 or whatever, it's gone. That's that they're working overtime on squashing that bug right now. Also, one of the things I wanted to mention about Smash while we're talking about it is that the Fire Emblem Spirit Board event Part 1 is going on right now, starting on December 21st, which is the day that you'll be listening to this show. And basically what that is in the Spirit Board, you can go in and you are even more likely to encounter even more Fire Emblem in Smash.
Why?
That's a great question.
Nobody cares about Fire Emblem. Move on.
Oh, apparently they do.
Nobody.
Apparently they do.
Nobody in the
But
right
only
mind
if you're a
should.
sword fighter.
I will actually say I won a match today with Roy, and I was like, wow, he's actually really good. I like him. He's good.
Yesterday when Gary and I played, it was first round was my Bowser versus his Link, and I won. Then in the second round, it was his Marth versus my Mega Man, and it was bad. It was bad. He's good with Marth.
Yeah, well,
Marth is super fast, and they've made some really interesting tweaks to Mega Man's moveset. Not like they didn't give him any new moves, but just like the way that they are executed or the way that they come out. When you do the move, the way that the move works is different. And so, I mean, he's a lot more flexible, but like the leaf shield in particular has been destroyed. It's terrible. And nice. I used to main Bowser Jr. too, and you can't do that at all anymore. Like that's a character that's got to be fixed.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a few more things here, just one more, and then we'll get right into gaming.
Yeah.
Charles Martinet broke a record this week in the Guinness Book of World Records for most video game voiceover performances by performing as Mario over 100 times.
That's something.
And so he's in there and he got a plaque or a trophy, and then he said, "It's a me," and got another $10,000 check.
Nolan Norris is probably right on his tail.
Yeah. So I just think that's pretty cool. Like, because I mean, when I think about like voice actors and things like that, like there's very few that like come to mind as far as like a lot of people don't know like people who are voice actors and that's all they do, right? Like we typically know voice actors more as like, oh, they brought in this celebrity to voice this and this,
right.
Like John C. Reilly, oh, he's Wreck-It Ralph. But I think of like Peter Cullen, who was the voice of Optimus Prime and Eeyore and others, and Frank Welker, who basically did every animal sound in every cartoon in the 80s and 90s, and Megatron and some, other iconic characters, and like Mel Looney Tunes.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, like iconic. Of course, he was
Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc.
Yeah, Mel Blanc. Mel Brooks is.
Well, we were both equally wrong, so I don't feel so bad.
Yeah, Mel Blanc. But did like Charles Martinet? I mean, like when you think about video game voice actors, Charles Martinet, David Hayter, right? I mean, there's. So Martinet's got it. I'm just happy for him.
I have a quick side story related to this.
Okay.
So my friend Kimlin Tran, who has voiced Snip and Clip, she was Miss Fortune in Skullgirls and Fidget in Dust and Elysian Tale, among other things. But those are the ones that are off the top of my head. Apparently, one of my son's friends is a fan of Kimlin. So somehow voice actors got in the topic of conversation, and he mentioned her name, and then Matthew was like, "Oh, my dad knows her, like really knows her, not just on talking Twitter, but we've talked outside of Twitter." And they're like, "I know your dad was cool, but that's awesome." So I'll take him as I can get him.
Yeah,
sure. May as well, right?
The older I get, the less I hear that I'm cool, right?
Yeah, he's 18, so it doesn't, that stuff doesn't happen. So I'll take him from his friends.
Yep. So speaking of cool opportunities, let's move right into our talk about the game of the year or our list of the year 2018, shall we?
Let's do it.
I don't know what sound we want.
Any sound is fine. I would just take it.
There we go.
Okay, well, that's fine.
That'll do it. So let's run down the categories that we're going to talk about here. And we are going to have a winner and a runner-up in each of these categories. Nintendo, most anticipated for 2019, best DLC, best game for children, best eShop exclusive, which means a game that is available only. It's not physical. It's digital only. Best family game, best party game, best 3DS game, best Switch game, best third-party game, and game of the year. So let's start with this. Let's just start with the Nintendo category.
Before we start with Nintendo, maybe just a quick round the table. What did you guys think of 2018 as a year for Nintendo? Nintendo
yeah,
Switch?
That's a great question.
As we came off of the first year with games like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey.
We knew going in that it definitely wasn't going to be as big as 2017, and there was probably no way they could have. Mm-hmm. But for what we got, I think it was still a pretty good year. It was a better year than we thought it was going to be. With what we know from 2019, I think 2019 will be kind of close to a 2017 year. It'll be an up year than this year. That's my guess.
Yeah, but Marty, what about you?
I think that 2017 was such a blockbuster year for Nintendo. They came out with both fists clenched and swinging for the rafters. It was going to be hard for them to top, what they had done. I mean, Mario and Zelda hitting the same year with a brand new system, and Splatoon 2 and different things like that. But I think that Nintendo kind of did not impress in the first half of the year, and then hit really hard near the end, right? I mean, Pokemon and Smash coming out within a month of each other is pretty awesome. And I think it makes up for some of the rest of the year. And if you think about it, I mean, it hasn't been bad. In fact, I would say that 2017 is probably one of Nintendo's best years on record, with 2018 being right behind it. It's just that 2017 was just one hit after another, right? It was one thing after another. And so 2018 kind of feels a little underwhelming because it did not just, it wasn't that bombastic as 2017.
Yeah. There was a lot I didn't get a chance to play in 2018, so I'm kind of almost glad that they didn't have as many big hits as they did in 2017, because all it would be is just a deeper backlog, and I wouldn't have been able to play any more of the games.
Yeah, I think 2018 was really interesting. I mean, there's no way they could have hit it as hard as they did in 2017. We just knew that coming off the hop, right? There's no way they could. I think their 2017 strategy to start off with was, we've got 9 months essentially, because again, the Switch came out in March of 2017. We've got 9 months to tell the tale of why you need to buy this system and how we need to make you forget about the Wii U. And I think they did a fantastic job in that in 2017. Rolling into 2018, I think their catalog became a bit thinner and didn't have what I would call the A hits as much as we would have seen in 2017. I think 2018 was the story of the indie. Right, was a story of indies and third-party relationships, and that's really, I think, what sold Nintendo, or was able to really help Nintendo during those months of maybe not having those huge, massive hits as you would with such as Smash and Pokemon. The other thing I would say is a little bit of the story of the port. Right, so between the indies, ports, and third-party support, that's, I think, the story that Nintendo told in 2018, which allowed for them to have about a year to begin to align for 2019, and I think is setting up for success. So, as we started going through this list today, it's interesting because I struggled to find really Nintendo games that really shocked me, but a lot of fantastic other developers, and there was a ton of great games out there, great content. I don't think it was a lack for content. I count on my Switch. I have almost 100 games. I think I actually have over 100 games on my Switch right now, with the system that's less than 24 months old, right? So that I mean, even if we use that math, it's 20 months old now, and so it's basically 5 games a month, one a week.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to complain about that.
Yeah, you really can't, right? So it means it's again not a lack of content, but maybe not Nintendo's best show. And again, I'd argue that would be difficult.
But really, do you have time to play a game a week?
No, I don't, right? And again, we're also kind of blessed to be able to review games, right? So we get a fair bit of content that way as well. So let's jump into this. You ran over the list here, Marty. Let's start off with the easy one. non-Nintendo. And Jesse, both you and I are kind of waving our hands in this one, saying we're out.
Yeah, so I'm going to start the overall statement saying, since I played so little this year, and the games that everyone else is saying game of the year, blah blah blah, I probably likely haven't even touched. So I am limiting mine to just a single gamer category, if that. Sometimes I'm going to blanket. Like for the Nintendo, I could say, sure, easy, Spider-Man, because it's the only PS4 game I played this year. Sure. So that doesn't count. I'm not going to say I have nothing for that category this year.
Sure. And we've also got some comments now. Gary wasn't able to put his comments in here, but we have got comments from Timothy Olf, who's in our chat right now with our YouTube crowd there, managing them, and I see he's managing Josh as well. So that's fantastic. Thank you, Tim. Welcome back, Josh. So let's just jump into this. Marty, what was your runner-up for the non-Nintendo?
So that's going to be God of War.
Okay.
And the reason being is that I loved the game when I got it, when I played it, rented it from Redbox because I'd heard about all of the changes to it, and I didn't want to. At the time, I couldn't spend $65 on a brand new game that wasn't a Nintendo game, and so I wanted to at least try it and see what the hype was. I spent about 8 hours with it when I had it. Spent a pretty significant amount of time. I really enjoyed it, but not as much as what went on to win.
Nice. And the winner was, in your opinion?
Spider-Man. It was one of the best game experiences that I've had in recent memory. There is nothing like it. It so captured the feeling of being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And created a world that, yes, it sent some surprises into the formula of Spider-Man, particularly in some of the relationships that Spider-Man had and all kinds of difference. I did feel like a negative of that game is that the main villain, or whatever you want to call him, Mr. Negative, was pretty inconsequential by the time it was all over with. It was like, what? This didn't even have anything really to do with the overall story other than to set up for what eventually happened, which I'm not going to spoil. But there were so many nods to the Spider-Verse and everything else. It's just fantastic. And if you ever get a chance to play it and you're even a moderate Spider-Man fan, it's so good.
That's great.
So good. And like it pulled me, like I could not even touch my Switch for like a week and a half until I finished it. I just could not play anything else. And to me, that's a sign of a good game. Like, if I'm thinking about it, if I wake up thinking about it, if I go to bed thinking about it, if I can't think of playing anything else, that's a good game.
Nice. That's fantastic. I see here that Tim had his runner-up is actually Spider-Man, and his winner is God of War. So reverse for you. So if you're a non-Nintendo fan and you haven't picked up Spider-Man or God of War, something to think about. Also, for those of you that are Spider-Man fans, apparently, Insomniac released a tweet, I believe it was today, that let you know that there is a free update for the holidays where you are getting the Sam Raimi spider suit, which I guess has been something that people have been begging for.
I saw pictures of that. It looks nice.
We've been quite volatile about it to get, so I'm glad they actually finally got it.
And that's one of the things too, like the little details in the game, the fetch quests, the extra costumes you can unlock. It's like a complete package. I mean, can't even say enough about it.
Before we jump into what 2018 was, we got some information from Nintendo about what was coming up in 2019. Let's do a quick little look here, maybe what our most anticipated 2019 game is. I'm going to read off Timothy's first. Tim said all of those tabletop games. Tim's obviously talking about a lot of those games like Pandemic and Carcassonne. Ticket to Ride. They're coming to the Nintendo Switch, and he's a big tabletop fan, so it's a great idea there, Tim. And then his winner, he says, is Marvel Alliance 3, which obviously Nintendo announced a couple weeks ago at the Game Awards as well. So very interested to see how that shakes out. Marty, let's go over to you you've actually got, I see here, you've got runner-up and runner-up 2.
I do, because I can't choose between the two of them.
Sure.
And so runner-up and runner-up 2 neck and neck for me is between Luigi's Mansion 3 and Yoshi's Crafted World. Both of those are worlds I want to go back to, especially having played Luigi's Mansion this year on the 3DS. I love that series. And you can already see kind of some of the innovation that we're going to be seeing if you've played Smash, because I don't know if you've noticed, but Luigi has a couple of different, like his grab is he shoots a plunger out of the vacuum, and that's not in any of the other games. So we're going to see that. I think we saw it in when they teased the release, or announced Simon Belmont. He was shooting plungers in that video as well. So I'm really excited about that. And Yoshi's Crafted World, if it's half as good as Woolly World, man, that's going to be an awesome game.
Yeah. And what is your winner, sir?
It's Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
I cannot wait.
That's your Marty Estes get hyped moment. What
they're going to do, because there's been that hype about like the registration of in the city or whatever. I'm excited because New Leaf was great, but we have yet to see. Think about this. We have yet to see an HD Animal Crossing.
I'm getting chills. Thing.
You don't count that Wii U thing?
That the Plaza, the Cop Out,
or that board game thing with the amiibo.
Oh
yeah, come on, that was an HD Animal Crossing.
No.
Yeah, it was. Technically.
If they are able to take, the like the building system or like the placement system of Happy Home Designer, and make it HD and put it in this game and add a few new elements and things, yeah. It's going to be awesome.
I would also reference that as the bit block has mentioned here, Pocket Camp is an HD Animal Crossing 2, Marty, so I don't know why you're complaining.
Well, do I have to call it a core HD Animal Crossing experience?
Why do we have to call it a core, and why can't we just put this whole series down? Just dig a hole, bury it.
We can't do that. We can't do that because some of us have joy in our lives.
I think Josh wants to put you down now.
Put it in the same dumpster that we put Fire Emblem. All right, so moving on. Jesse.
It's too full of sword fighters.
Yeah, there you go. They're all going to die. Jesse, what do you got here, buddy?
Yeah, so I originally had nothing because I couldn't think of anything that I did want. Someone in chat just reminded me, oh yeah, Dragon Quest XI's should be coming out next year for the Switch, and that's a game I want to play. So when he referenced Dragon Quest XI, he was talking about a Nintendo game. So,
nice.
Which, it came out on PS4 this year, but I didn't buy it because I'm waiting on the Switch.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to head over to my most anticipated runner-up games, and I've actually got a runner-up 1, runner-up 2. Actually, I'll just say honorable mention. As much as I'm giving a bit of ribbing, my actual honorable mention here for most anticipated is Animal Crossing. And not because I'm a huge fan of Animal Crossing, but because I haven't played Animal Crossing enough to determine whether I'm a fan of it. I've only played like Happy Home Designer and Pocket, but I know that my wife really likes Stardew Valley and my kids really like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing. If those things kind of meet together, and the amount of hype that other people have for this game and the excitement, like when it was finally announced, makes me think there's something there that I have to give a crack, right? So I mean, as much as I like to josh about like, hey, it's Animal Crossing or Fire Emblem, I also recognize there's a ravenous fan base for something, and just because it's not right for me doesn't mean it's wrong, but maybe I haven't given it an honest try. So I do want to actually try Animal Crossing and see what happens there. So that's an honorable mention for me. I put it honorable because I don't know enough about the series to make it an actual runner-up. My runner-up is Luigi's Mansion 3. I'm excited for that. Just plain and simple. And my winner is actually Metroid Prime. Whether that actually ends up being a 2019 game, I'm not 100% sure, but Metroid and Luigi probably could have been flopped either which way. But those are the ones that I'm actually very, very excited for.
Yeah, and it's okay if we don't know for sure it's in 2019, because remember, I had Persona 5 as my most anticipated 2 years in a row, and it was still missed that year.
Exactly. Let's move over to our next category, which our next category is actually best DLC. And Nintendo has, and much of the games that we've been dealing with have been doing a lot of a pretty effective DLC strategy. And there's been some big DLCs that have come out. We're going to do just a quick rundown here. Tim mentioned his winner is the Octo expansion, and that happened in Splatoon 2. I will actually second Tim on that one, and that was actually my winner as well, is the Octo expansion, with my runner-up being the Donkey Kong Rabbids expansion that occurred a couple months following that as well. So some big expansions and DLCs to games that occurred in 2017, again, bringing us back, and I thought they were fantastic. Jesse, how about yourself?
I also said Donkey Kong expansion for Rabbids because I think of all the other games I can think of that had DLC, I never played them.
Yeah, and it's hard nowadays to see like where DLC is defined versus where it is patches, right? So would I argue that Mario Tennis is DLC, or are those just patches, right? I'm going back every month to get an updated character. Is that DLC, or is that just a bonus unlock? And
Right.
so how I think I'm defining DLC is I had to pay additional money to be provided an extra package.
Even if it's free DLC, you still had to download it.
Correct. So I don't know, something to think about there. You said Donkey Kong, and Marty, let's over to you. What's your runner-up?
My runner-up is going to be Sonic Mania Plus. I really, really enjoyed that game, and adding those new characters in just really, like made me want to play through it again. Because it was a game that I very quickly devoured when I first got it because it was so good. Again, was one of those games I couldn't stop playing. But my winner is also Donkey Kong Rabbids. It was so well done, implemented into that world so well, and I just really I love everything about that game. Please, sir, can we have another?
There you go.
Can we please have another Mario Rabbids or Zelda Rabbids? I don't care as long as that team is behind it. Yes.
Yeah, they did a great job. Nice. Well done. All right, guys, we're banging out these topics. Let's move on to our fourth one, which I think is definitely in our wheelhouse, and where I think as parents we have a great opportunity to shine, and that is best game for children. I'm going to read out Tim's first start off. Tim's runner-up was actually Fortnite, and he made his reference here as Fortnite for learning how to play as a team. That's great. I like that. I like kind of tying and associating with the what they're learning there. And then he actually mentioned his winner here was Labo for creativity and for building. And I think that's a great example. Thank you, Tim, for throwing those in here. Jesse, I see you're blank on this one. That's fine as well. Mario,
I'm playing my youngest is 5 years older than your oldest card.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's head over to you, Marty.
So for my runner-up, Super Mario Party is mine because just with my kids, I've noticed how easy it was, especially for my daughter, who is more tilted toward non-gamer. Any game she plays are basically just on an iPad. How easy it was for her to pick up the games on Mario Party, and how excited she was to play them. Like anytime we play Mario Party, she really enjoys that. She has a blast with it, and so that's my runner-up. My winner is going to be split between Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 and Lego DC Supervillains, both of which came out this year. Actually, I think Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 may have missed this year by just a little bit. I may not be sure. Somebody will probably correct me on that, but
I can verify while you talk.
Okay. If it's not, it's Lego DC Supervillains. Lego games are great for parents to play with kids or for kids to play on their own. It allows them a huge selection of superheroes or characters that they love to be a part of. And I mean, there's no lives, and there's a ton, like in a lot of the modern Lego games, there's a ton of stuff to collect and do, and little side quests and things. And so they're great games. I mean, there's still a lot of the glitches and things that permeate those games, but really, when it comes down to it, I mean, they're the superhero games we have right now, right?
Yeah. Superheroes 2 was November of last year.
Okay. Well, then it's Lego DC Supervillains for me. And I mean, Mario Party, it was hard because Mario Party would have won this, but it's winning another category later on, and so I wanted to be different.
Yeah, and if you're yelling at us saying like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have put that game there, and there was a better game. We had some categories, and you may have seen us spread the love of other games across different categories to make things fit. So I'm going to head over to my best game for children. Honorable mention, much like Tim here, I said Labo. Again, hard to believe that Nintendo in 2018 introduced this idea. They've done 3 kits now, 3 Labo kits. I do anticipate now, they've never released full actual sales numbers of how Labo has done. We've seen more partnerships with the U.S. School system as well. There were some great Black Friday sales or discounts on them this last little bit as well. It'll be interesting to see if Nintendo continues Labo into 2019. I think they will. I think strategically they've got something there, and I think it's probably relatively low-hanging fruit from a cost perspective.
I think
for them.
we'll see it slow down.
Yeah, well, I mean, you slow down from 2 to 1. Is what you're thinking? Like you get one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the initial release was 2 in April, and then we had the 1 come out. I guess was that in October?
September.
In September, I think we'll probably see just like 1 a quarter.
Yeah, it could be,
or not a quarter, 1 a half. Like the first half of the year, we might see one. The second half of the year, we'll see another.
Yeah, if for those of you that watch my 2019 Nintendo release calendar predictions, I predict an April release for our next Labo kit as well. For my runner-up for Best Children's Game is Kirby. Kirby Star Allies came out in, I think, Q1 of this year. Lots of additional little updates have been to that game for more characters, but I think from an approachability to play with children, it was really easy to play. And they enjoyed playing it as well. And my winner is actually Let's Go, whether it's Let's Go Eevee or Let's Go Pikachu. I think that's a fantastic game to play with kids, and it allows for them to, I think the party games are fantastic, but it just allows for them to kind of explore this world by themselves, and it's approachable and easy, and also allows you as a parent to jump in where you need to as well. So that was my best game.
Yeah,
we're
great choice.
Move on to our next category, which is Best eShop Exclusive. This is a game you can find on the eShop that we kind of said, hey, you can't really find physically. Now, I think as you go through this, people are going to be like, well, actually, yes, we understand that potentially, you can get it via, through limited game runs and stuff like that. Most of these games were probably not cartridge based, right? So they were originally born exclusively into the eShop and then later potentially got a physical release. But for the sake of this, we're going to say they're eShop. All right. So don't send me well, actually, because I'm not going to have any of that today, folks. Let's move over to Tim. Tim's runner-up was Bloodstained: Curse to the Moon. This came out, I believe, in May, and this was the, as Kickstarter backers was able to get from the original Bloodstained as well, so it's a good one. And then winner, he said, was Soccer Slammers. That's from Jules Watson as well.
Fun game.
Yeah. Jesse, let's head over to you. What's your games here, buddy? What's your winner?
I picked Arcade Archives Donkey Kong. I think of all the eShop games, that's the one I have the most fun with. May not have played it the longest, but I had found creative ways to play it in Tate mode. I used a flip grip. I actually had a projector on a 8-foot wall in the summer. So I was just more creative with that game. So that's my pick.
Nice. Marte?
For me, my runner-up is going to be Iconoclast, which I think is one of the most regretfully overlooked games in the Nintendo eShop, period. It's so good. I'm so glad that Justin went on and on about it because I got it at his recommendation just from hearing him play it, and I finished it in like a day and a half. I couldn't put it down. And it's still like there's still parts of that story that I come back to that I'm like, man, it was so good. But my winner for me is Celeste. Nice. There is just something about that game. I know a lot of people talk about the story. I just want to focus on the gameplay. The gameplay was so point on perfect, as far as like the platforming and the difficulty ramping up, and just there's so much about that game I loved.
Mm-hmm.
Love Celeste.
And the level of accessibility too that you had with that, which was, you could modify, right? You want to be invincible, you can be invincible. Right. So no matter, I think the great part is that they looked at their story first as the priority for the individual, right? For the consumer, and then prioritized how do they make sure a consumer or a player can have this experience and understand the story without being frustrated. Excuse me. Sorry. And I think when you talk about playing with children and playing with people who may be new to a system or not be as advanced gamers, to be able to have that accessibility of like whether it's you're invincible or whether you're you get more jumps or recovery or whatever that is, to be able to kind of turn those switches on and off allows for there to be really no excuse, right? And I thought that was such a brilliant move by them.
5:30 in the morning catching up to you?
It is 5:30 in the morning. It's catching up to me, right? As you can tell, my pace getting us through this is a little bit quicker than normal. I'm going to move over to my best eShop exclusives. I put down runner-up was Dead Cells. I had a lot of fun with this. It grabbed me kind of quickly off the start, and I had a fair bit of fun. So that was that one. And my winner is actually Moonlighter, and that came out in early November of this year. That is my eShop exclusive, and I had a great time with it. It was interesting because I played at Gamescom, and I did not like it, and then I had an opportunity when we got the review code to sink hours into it. And it scratched an itch for me that was not a 2D platformer, and I just really, really enjoyed it. There was another kind of a big title that we got about the exact same time that I was asked to kind of review and give my impressions on, and I wanted to power through that game just to play more Moonlighter. And so I would highly recommend Moonlighter or Dead Cells. Let's move over to our best family game, and just doing through our Tim has got a couple runners up here, or a runner up. Tim is saying Party Crashers, which is a fantastic game as well. And he's saying his winner is Super Mario Party. So awesome, both of those. So these are best family games.
In fact, Super Mario Party is all of our winners.
Yes. Yeah, across the board, Super Mario Party is our winner for that. So if we were to say what the best family game of 2019 is, hands down, we are telling you that Super Mario Party is that game.
Can I just say this? Like, if you were giving your kids a Switch for Christmas and you were not giving them Super Mario Party with it, you are making an incredibly huge mistake. Yeah. Is it's such a fun game that anybody can jump into, and if you have 4 Joy-Cons, this is a game that you will go back to over and over and over and over again. And there's so much content, even stuff to unlock and little side games and things like that.
And we can whine as Nintendo fanboys and apologists saying, well, there should be more boards and there should be more variety and all this. Shake it down to what it is. It is a good game. There's a lot of good stuff there.
It's a great game.
You're going to have fun and for the value you get.
Here, exactly. And here's the thing, like what is there is presented so well. I can forgive, that there's not 15 boards or whatever, right? Because Mario Party has been crap for so long that they finally figured out how to make it good again. Make Mario Party great again. They did it.
I love it. Let's see here. Just some honorable mentions actually in this category as well. I said Let's Go. Marty, you said Just Dance, and I actually had Just Dance as well.
Yeah, maple syrup mousses.
Maple syrup mousses, y'all. It's crazy being part of maple syrup mousses.
Maple syrup mousses.
Exactly.
My son just this was his gift to his sister for Christmas.
That's awesome.
And with all that was going on over the last week, it was like, let's let the kids open their gifts to each other. And my daughter flipped out when she saw this. Downside to Just Dance for this year, for the 2019 iteration.
I think I know what you're going to say.
I want to say this. Online connection. It's always connected online. Is that what you knew? Is that what you were thinking I was going to say?
I was thinking the subscription to Ubisoft Online or whatever it was, where I had to pay $30 a year for them to get song packages.
Yeah, that's kind of crappy too.
I was not impressed by that.
But now I don't know if the game always has to be online. Like, I watched my daughter play it the night she first got it, and granted I haven't watched it since, but like one of the games that she was playing, the video was incredibly blurry. And I'm like, are you streaming this off the internet? And she's like, no, I'm in the kids section. I'm in, and I looked and I didn't understand why it looked like that. Like,
I would say we haven't experienced that issue. And my kids, when we got it, like played it real hard and really loved it. So,
what I'm gonna do tomorrow is I think I'm gonna turn off the internet on the Switch and see what happens. See what's accessible.
Okay. And then I would also say that I think they actually put a patch out last night, so might want to check that as well.
Yeah, we may need to do that.
I saw when I picked up the Switch this morning, there was a download updated, and I was like, okay, something happened there. All right, let's move on to our next category, which is Best Party Game. So now this is a little bit different than Best Family Game, right? So this is a game that maybe, maybe the kids have gone to bed, possibly. Kids have gone to bed, and your mates are sitting around with a couple beers, maybe some pizza, and you're like, you know what, guys, here's what we should do. We should have a bit of party game. So we are going to jump in that category. And what we have here from Tim is runner-up is Mario Party. I love it. And the winner is Jackbox Party Pack 5 from Tim, which, interestingly enough, Jesse, is the same thing that you have down. And the same thing that Marty, you have down.
Yeah.
And Marty, you said the runner-up there was Mario Tennis Aces.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, I had to backpedal on this game. I kind of had to, it's a game lots of people can play, and you can play it either with, the actual controller in your hands, or you can play it in swing mode. I think that lends itself well to a party game. I just want to show that game some love somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, people are probably like, excuse me, guys. Actually, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the best party game out there. Like, don't argue with me. Here's what we're going to say. Yeah, you can also say that. But I thought, hey, let's expand your horizons and open your mind beyond games that are just Smash. So, zip it. And here's some suggestions. My best party games, I came down to honorable mentions, Catastronauts. And that is not yet out in the EU or North America, but it will be coming out in the next couple of days. Catastronauts is Overcooked with a Star Trek overlap on top of it, basically. And it is absolute chaos and fun, and I would absolutely recommend it. It's fantastic. My runner-up is Towerfall. This is a great party game, an absolutely fantastic game, and not just a great party game. There's a great, if you just play by yourself, it's really good, but in the party game is the better part of it. I'd highly recommend that. And then my winner is Overcooked 2. They have put out some DLCs that are both free and then paid for as well, so there's a ton of content that we keep going back to. I would highly recommend that. And again, this is all about bringing people together and having a bunch of fun around the Switch. Marty, you were saying yes to Towerfall?
Yeah, I love that game. It's there's a lot of shouting with Towerfall.
Yeah.
And to me, that's always a mark of a good game.
Yeah, exactly.
Good shouting, bad shouting. I don't know.
And I would say both, Catastronauts and Overcooked 2 all have that as well. I would say it looks like by this, you guys are saying Jackbox Party Pack 5 is kind of our best game of our best party game, but definitely some other ones there for people to expand their horizons with as well.
It's a lot better than Party Pack 4.
There you go.
So Party Pack 4 was really hit or miss, but so far Party Pack 5 has been very solid.
Someone recently asked in a Patreon chat which one of those games is the best one to get if we were to pick one for an office party, and I think everyone said 3.
3, always Jackbox Party Pack 3. I don't know, it's magic.
Nice. We're going to now move into best 3DS game. Yes, people, this category still exists because people still play it. So shut it. Now you'll notice there hasn't been a ton of content here, but we'll call it out. Tim has mentioned his runner-up was Sushi Strikers, followed by Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. So thank you, Tim, for putting those votes in there. Jesse, what have you got there, sir?
I said Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology, which is a remake of the DS game Radiant Historia.
Excellent. That sounds captivating for sure. Marty,
for those turn-based RPGs you enjoy so much.
I know, that's exactly why I said sounds so captivating.
This was a hard one for me because, looking at runner-up and winner, I love both of these games equally, even though they're so completely different. But my runner-up is WarioWare Gold. I love WarioWare. I'm so glad. I was just saying, before this was announced, I had been saying for months, where is the new WarioWare? We need a new WarioWare. And then it got announced, it came out, it dropped this year, had a lot of fun with it, still having a lot of fun with it. But my winner is Luigi's Mansion. It was one of my most anticipated games for the year, which is weird because I've been so critical of the 3DS. But I'm mainly just more critical. I'm not so much critical of the hardware and the 3DS and its success, but critical of the continued support. But if you look at this, there were 5 games released for the 3DS this year, right? And there were more. I mean, there was download only games like Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers and different things like that. But as far as 2019 goes, we only know one DS game that's coming out, 3DS game, right? Yeah. And that's or no, 2. We know 2. Yokai Watch 3 is coming out. And also Bowser's Inside Story.
That's fair.
So
Like
my question is, we may have this category next year in 2019, but do you think we'll have it in 2020?
Yeah, I think we are. I think Nintendo has said they are going to continue with the 3DS. So I think that we're going to see some, I'm sure we've got tons of Wii U games we're going to port over.
Really?
I suspect.
Or maybe they might finally get some GameCube games ported.
What Wii U games are left to port? What Wii U games would work on the 3DS?
Oh, you're gonna put me this one, aren't you?
I am.
You son of a.
You shouldn't have mentioned it.
Color Splash.
Okay.
Color Splash could work.
Ew.
Why not?
I'll tell you what won't work. Super Mario 3D World.
Why not? 3D's in the title.
It is in the title. They don't make 3D games anymore, though.
I don't know what to tell you. I said it nonchalantly. Didn't think you'd hold me to it.
I'm going to tell you this. I will swear it right here on the Go Home show for 2018. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
If they make a port of Super Mario 3D World, and it is not on the Switch and it is on the 3DS, I will blow up my 3DS.
Can you just, instead of blowing it up, just send it to me? I'll take it.
I will. Yeah, you can have it. I will give you.
Yes.
Yes. Take it.
Dear Nintendo, I'm looking for a new 3DS. Could you do this to Marty just so he has to? Tim, where's our notes? Tim, can you make sure that's show noted, please?
Yeah, put it in there. Put it in there. I don't care. I may not honor it even. I'm just mad. I'm just mad. I'm serious. I'm seriously, viscerally mad thinking about the possibility of a Mario World or Mario 3D World port on the 3DS.
I love how upset this has got you. I love that.
Anytime we talk about 3DS, I get upset because
I know you do.
Oh, let's move on. Let's move on before someone complains that I hate the 3DS too much.
Yeah, stop sending your email to us, folks. It's getting annoying. Let's move over to our best Switch game. Best Switch game. And Tim has down here, this is Tim's column, right? I just want to make sure, yeah, Tim. Because I was going to say, this sounds like Gary, actually, some of these things. Tim's runner-up was Horizon Chase Turbo.
That's
Horizon
a great
Chase
game.
Turbo. Is it?
Yeah.
Tim, I think, reviewed it for our channel, as I recall. He did a great job. He always does a great
here's the thing, like we don't have enough arcade-style racers. I mean, like Mario Kart is, but it's more of a party game, more of a, this is fast, and this is it's great. It's great.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, something about Tim? We love him. We do. We absolutely
do love Tim.
Yep. And he actually says his winner was Flipping Death. All right. Cool. Flipping Death is the winner there.
That's cool.
Jesse, what is your best Switch game?
I said Let's Go Eevee, or any of the Let's Goes.
I would agree. So here's the thing I would say. I have never, and Jesse, you and I have had the ability now, since we started this magical carpet ride 4 years ago, to work together on this craziness. I have never seen you as passionate about a game as I have with Let's Go, Eevee, and Pikachu in these 4 years, and I'm so happy to see that outside of you and the amazing content you create around that. So this is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm still trying to get that video you asked me about last week made.
The one that I subtly pushed you into making?
Yeah.
God, I'm a jerk. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, so Let's Go Eevee. Could you have said Let's Go Pikachu here and you would have been all right?
Yeah, either Let's Go, yeah.
Okay,
I just happened to play the Eevee one, but ultimately they're the same game. Just different small differences, but that doesn't change the gameplay.
Yeah, a little bit of an asterisk beside this one as well. How great was the Pokeball? Right, what a fantastically fun idea that they did, and when I'm playing Let's Go with the kids, they're always playing with the Pokeball. They love it. It's it's just it's a fun little idea. So I thought, well done on that one. Are you still playing with your Pokeball? That sounded rude.
I actually wasn't a fan of it with Let's Go. I use it to play Go more than anything.
Okay.
Just because it acts like a Go Plus that will auto spin stuffs.
There you go. Excellent. I like it. All right. And Marte, what do you have for your runner-up?
So my runner-up for best Switch game is Pokemon Let's Go it's way more fun than it has any right to be.
Sure.
It's the first Pokemon game that I can truly say that I have loved. And, my winter has derailed my progress in it, but I'm looking forward to. I've got this whole next week off, and so I am looking forward to diving back in and finishing it up very soon. But my winner is Super Smash Ultimate. I mean, there's no way there can be any other game. It is the game that I've waited all year for. It's the game I've been hoping for. It is the best Smash that Nintendo has ever made. And again, it's Ultimate. Like, I don't know how they're going to top it. So, but it's definitely it's the game of the year for Switch for me.
All right.
And it looks
Marty.
like Gary just woke up.
Yeah.
Hey, I've just woke up, and I'm quickly hijacking the show for like 5-10 minutes.
This is like a Zach Erickson moment.
It is. It is.
I'm proud of you. He's proud of you.
Thank you. So what are we talking about now? Best Switch game.
The best Switch game for you.
What's your best Switch game? Because you hated the Switch this year.
Yeah, the first 6 months I thought was, it reminded me of the Wii U days, where we'd get one release every so often, and it'd have to be like, oh, you're gonna have to enjoy this or not play anything at all.
Hope you like tennis.
That reminds me of the N64 days.
So for me, it's easy. It's Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I think it's been refreshing to Pokemon and to gaming in general to have such a laid-back, sort of enjoyable RPG that's 2-player as well. I think the Peripheral was the best for it. That's been out in a long time, which is also great because it works with the mobile as well. Just really enjoyable game. I think it's won by a long shot for me as well. I don't think Smash is in my top 5, which might upset some people. And to say that the start of the year was so bad for me, it's surprising that it's out of top 5.
So maybe while you're here, because I know we're going to lose you soon, Gary, what would you list as your top 5 games? I'm putting you in a little bit of a hot spot. Now, we don't have a top 5 ourselves, but I'm going to ask you what it is.
Dark Souls.
Is that number 5, or are you just grabbing 5 things?
I'm just grabbing 5. I couldn't put it in possibly in order. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate XL massively double L version, whatever it's called. Octopath Traveler. So that's 4 now, 2, right?
Yep.
And the other one would probably be not Labo.
Fair.
Anything but Labo.
Anything
Starlink?
but Labo.
Starlink for you? I guess I haven't played Starlink enough.
Yeah, I think it'd be Starlink. I haven't actually got my hands on it yet, but it was. I really enjoyed what I've played of it so far. I played it around my little brother's house. I played it at ETX. I'm actually holding out till Christmas for that one. So just after Christmas, I'll get this definitive list done, being as it's way too early in the morning for me to think.
Sure.
But 3DS Game of the Year, I just heard you talk about that. Just a correction, Marty, as well. Dylan's Dead Eat Break was actually physical. The first physical Dylan's Dead Eat Break, Dylan's games. I really enjoyed that game, but I think in terms of best 3DS game for me this year, it's actually Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which I picked up on that rather than on the Switch. Closely followed by maybe Detective Pikachu.
Oh yeah, Detective Pikachu. I forgot about that one.
Which a lot of people forgot was this year. Then maybe Luigi's Mansion after that. Dylan just after that, I think. But yeah, I think overall, this year has actually been quite a decent year despite its slow start. We've had some good experiments with the Pokeball and Labo and all that sort of stuff. I think that we've definitely seen more ports than normal, which isn't a bad thing, despite what people say. Just really needs a lot more new in between it as well. And I think that next year is going to be the best.
Okay.
So with that, I'm going to have to duck out, but it's nice hijacking for a couple of minutes at least.
Right on. Well, thanks, Gary. Thanks for coming
also,
in.
Justin, I've just got to ask, are you still sore this morning from your whooping on Mario Kart 8 last night?
I can't hear you. Your microphone seems to be dying. It's unfortunate. Take care. Bye-bye. Someone drop
Alright, see you guys
now.
in a bit. Bye.
All right. So now that he has taken over, I think over to me for best Switch game. I don't have a runner-up.
Okay.
I don't have a runner-up in this category, and not because I don't believe there isn't a good game. I believe there are too many good games to choose from, and I could slot any game in there and make an argument for it, and I don't want to. But I believe that the best Switch game for 2018 came out the middle of the year. It came out in June, and it was instantly available on your console to free download, and it grabbed the world by storm, and it grabbed my attention for nearly 6 months straight. And ladies and gentlemen, that game was Fortnite. I went through my logs. I went through my tracking on my Nintendo Switch parenting app, and for 5 months that was my number one played game by far. And I've had a ton of fun with it. It brings me back to it. They continually update and make changes every single week. I think the story that they're telling without an actual dedicated specific story is awesome. I think it's easy to play. It's accessible. The crafting part of it is great. I think, hey, by the way, it's got voice chat built into it that doesn't require the app. The pay model makes sense, or not having to pay works for you. Like, I think there's so many things it does really, really well. And I think it was a very important game for the Switch to get. And I think it was great. And I'm just going to go through the comments now and just see people light me up. No.
Actually, my son played Fortnite for the first time in a while, and they have holiday themed differences. Like, the party bus is like a big sleigh with balloons.
Yeah, they've done a great job with that.
I don't think anybody should light you up here, and here's why. I said this earlier the year, and I'm not just saying this to highlight that I was right or whatever, but I'm just saying that, like, I said it several times how important it was for the Switch to get Fortnite, right? And I come back to the whole idea of, it was important for the Switch to get Rocket League. It was important for the Switch to get Fortnite. It would be just like it would be super important for the Switch to get Overwatch. Right. And like the ability to have these massively multiplayer online games, especially when there's such buzz around Fortnite, and the buzz around Fortnite since it released on the Switch hadn't gone away. It's just grown. Yeah. And so not only does that drive popularity, to Fortnite, but the fact that you can play it on the Switch, that drives people to the Switch as well. Yeah. And so I think it's a huge game, whether you like the game or not, whether you like the model that Epic has set up or not. That's not what we're arguing about. Was it important for the Switch to get Fortnite? Yes, and it's still important for it to be there, and that's why I think that's perfectly viable for a game of the year. Yeah,
and those games that you mentioned are also big for the entire gaming industry, because those are the ones that drove cross platforms.
That's exactly it, Jesse. Yeah, and that's exactly right. The ability for us to live outside our ecosystem, right, for a game, and I think great point there, Marty, to talk about something like Rocket League, for us to be able to say, here's a game that I have on my Nintendo Switch, but I have friends on Xbox that I want to be able to play with. Okay, let's do that, right? And it begins to break down that platform silos that are created, and rather play anywhere, play with friends, do whatever. And I think that's an important thing. I'm happy that PlayStation finally got on board with that. But I think Fortnite was leading the charge in that, and I think that it's important for a console, it's important for its attachment rate, and it's important for gamers. It's great as something like Super Smash Brothers is. That Super Smash Brothers is isolated to our ecosystem, right? And I don't know. Like that's my belief in Fortnite. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I'm going to continue playing it. I hope they actually put the Save the World model available for the Nintendo Switch coming soon as well. I love their pay model, the structure that works. My kids love playing it. Right, it's just yeah. Well, I'll stop talking about it, but I believe that's my best Switch game. Again, my runner-up. You can put any other game at runner-up. It's fine, but Fortnite by far. Let's move on now to best third-party game. And this one, I think, guys, was almost a bit of a catch-all net for us to put down games that we did not mention in any other category. Going to go over to Tim. Tim starts off with his runner-up was Octopath Traveler, and his winner is Undertale. So that's fantastic. Marty, I'm going to head over to you. What's your runner-up?
My runner-up is Undertale, and I know it's an older game, but it was just it's one of my favorite games. In fact, upon finishing it, I can honestly say it's in my top 5 games of all time.
Right.
Just for the whole package. But my winner is Mega Man 11.
Of course it is. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't revolutionary by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but it's Mega Man, and it's Mega Man done right because it's not Mega Man X.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic.
Nice, excellent.
Don't let Paulson hear you say that.
Shots fired. I don't care.
I think one of the things that just as an FYI about Undertale, Marty, I know I talked about it to you, but I actually did end up picking it up. I haven't played it yet. It's I will put it straight to my backlog, but it was on sale, and I know you had raved about it so much, and that I did pick it up. But I'm hoping to play it sometime soon. I've got a little bit of a back catalog I have to clean out. Jesse, let's go over to you. You don't have a runner-up, but what's your winner?
This one it was a hard choice because I actually went through and had to look at what games I had played on the Switch, and I had figured out which games were last year's so I could not count them. I finally went with West of Loathing because I remember that game I played through. I think I almost 100%ed it. I did every little thing I could possibly do in it and enjoyed it. So, yeah. Did you freeze up? Or are you still there?
Nope, still there.
Okay,
that's
all right. You weren't moving, so I wasn't sure if you locked up or not.
That's fair. That's fair enough.
I think that's a very overlooked game as well, and one I would definitely recommend people to go pick up. It's great, fantastic sense of humor.
Yeah.
In that game.
Yeah. One of the first things you can do is pick up a move that lets you slither around like a snake. Like, why would you want to do this? But you can if you want. I think it was the first thing I picked up.
Yeah, that's great.
I quickly disabled it because it looked ridiculous, but I could do it.
Yeah. Nice. I'm going to write for mine. I have a list of honorable mentions that just to throw out there for people who are like, hey, what are some other great? I have the Gardens Between Celeste and Faye as honorable mentions. My runner-up is The Messenger, and my winner is Monster Boy. So those are my games for best third party. Any of those are absolutely amazing, and I would highly recommend every single one of them. It's just, again, I think, as I mentioned before, 2018 was the year of the indies and third parties, and I think that's where Nintendo, the Switch was able to be successful. We're going to run over now to, ladies and gentlemen, our Game of the Year. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the 2019 Game of the Year. And it's interesting, this is a little bit of a smattering of games across this, but I think there's some great content in here. Ladies and gentlemen, for Tim, he said his runner-up was Flipping Death as the Game of the Year, and the winner, Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I bought Flipping Death and never got around to playing it, and that's a game I need to play next week when I'm on vacation.
There you go. I like it.
Of course, I also said Octopath Traveler might be in that list, but definitely both games won't be.
Yeah. Jesse, what was your winner?
I went with Let's Go.
Let's Go. Excellent. Okay. And Marty, I see that was your runner-up was Let's Go.
Yeah. Runner-up, Let's Go. Win, Smash Ultimate.
Smash Ultimate. There you go. My runner-up, Smash Ultimate, followed by Fortnite.
Kind of figured that's where you were headed after Switch Game of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah. So those were. I think there is a fair bit of content there for us. I think some kind of themes that I would be calling here is that Super Smash Brothers Ultimate seems to be obviously massive. So is Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee as well. So tons of content there. Now we of course reached out to our community to ask for some of their feedback of what their games are. I'm gonna run down some lists here. So bear with me 1 second here. John Blanco says. His game of the year was Celeste, followed by Super Mario Brothers Ultimate and Wario Gold. Love My NES number 1 was Octopath Traveler, followed by Celeste, and then Super Mario Brothers Ultimate, with some honorable mentions to Donkey Kong Country and Tropical Freeze and Let's Go and Okami. David Ernsberg says, where did David go? Here we go. David said, number 1, Smash by a mile. Number 2, Super Mario Party. 3, Octopath Traveler. 4, Let's Go Pikachu. And number 5, Celeste. Seeing some common themes there with Celeste again, right? And obviously Smash. Third Strongest Mole says, number 1 is Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. I've already have more play time on it than anything but Mario Kart, Zelda, and Splatoon 2. Wow, that's incredible. Number 2 is Octopath Traveler. Number 3, his statement was Mega Man 11. Heading down to Dan. Dan mentioned his game of the year, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, followed by Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and Adventure Pals. That was a great game, Adventure Pals, actually. Totally forgot about that as well. Chad calls out Octopath Traveler's number 1. Let's Go Pikachu is Let's Go Pokemon number 2. And Splatoon's Octopath expansion is number 3, which is great. Dave Nelson mentions his game of the year is definitely Super Smash Brothers. Runner-up is Let's Go, and they are both great games. He said he did mention enjoying Starlink and Mega Man 11 as well. Honorable mentions goes to Kirby Star Allies. Nick mentions Celeste is number 1. Number 2 is Smash. Number 3 is Hollow Knight. We never added Hollow Knight to our list, guys. I didn't get a chance to play it. I picked it up. It's on my backlog. But I remember Hollow Knight received some huge, fantastic reviews as well. So that may be one to think about also. Timothy Alf writes down that for his kids, number 1 is Fortnite. Number 2 is Super Smash Brothers. 3 is Manual Samuel. 4 is Hello Neighbor. And 5 is Kirby Star Allies. And then he said for his wife, the only one was Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. So some fantastic stuff on there. Guys, I'm going to grab some stuff from our Discord as well. But any games that stood out there for you there?
I think it's important that Hollow Knight is mentioned, considering the buzz around it. Mm-hmm. Considering that it had some pretty talked about DLC that came out. Mm-hmm. I think it just hit during the wrong time, just to be honest. It hit in the middle of the summer for me. And I'm really busy in the months of June and July. And so I picked it up, and I'm like you, it's in my backlog. And I never really got to spend much time with it. And so maybe I think that's one that I need to go back and give due diligence to. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm going to go through our Discord here, a couple ones. Keel Dog says number 1 is Celeste, 2 is Smash, 3 is Dead Cells. Absolutely. Dark Crystal says had to pick game of the year would be Smash Brothers. Although he does mention he has already put over 100 hours into Warframe, which is absolutely crazy. Did any of you guys pick up Warframe?
No.
Okay.
I just didn't have time for another shooter in my life.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't have time for any shooters in my life.
G.I. Jello says, I guess by default mine would be Smash number 1, 2 is Celeste, and 3 is Starlink. Okay, that's good. I like that a lot. Let's see what else we got here.
Starlink is another one that no one mentioned in our lists.
Yeah, exactly. Sandy Rod says 3 is The Messenger, 2 is Undertale, and 1 is Smash. And greetings from Argentina. Well, thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you for doing that. Let's see what else we got here. Esco Richard says, my top 4 switches follow. Top 4 is interesting. Number 1, Starlink. Number 2, Let's Go Pikachu. Number 3, Bayonetta 2. And number 4, Smash. That's right, Bayonetta came out. Totally forgot about that. Yeah, that is interesting as well. Again, we are hearing Starlink starting to get battered around a little bit as well, which is absolutely great. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm just going through some more stuff here. JC says, spent most of my year actually playing games from last year, such as Golf Story, Enter the Dungeon. Absolutely. And was happy with, but not blown away by games like Pokemon or Mega Man, with the exception of Hyper Light Drifter, which I thought was outstanding. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I had the same problem with, I almost said Superstar Saga, because I played it this year, but it was released last year. I had played it late.
Yeah. PC Brandon actually says, sorry here, number one Starlink with Smash, or sorry, Mega Man 11, Warframe, Starlink, and Smash, with nostalgia shoutouts going to Pikachu and Eevee as well. So, yeah, awesome. Wow, that's a ton of content going on there, guys. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Any final thoughts from you guys?
I think that I guess the overarching theme is, and what we see from listeners of the show and us, is that pretty much Smash is game of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, if we're just looking at votes, right? Smash, I think Celeste had a very respectable showing as well. And I would even call that in the top three. So you've got Smash, Let's Go, and Celeste making up your top three.
Yeah, I think so. And then you could kind of sort out or shake out whatever else you wanted for five, for 4 or 5s, right? So, I think those are interesting kind of statements about where the system is for 2018 and as we roll into 2019 as well. Well, folks, is that a show? I think it's a show. What say you? Yeah.
Before we do closings, I want to do a quick PSA. If you bought Smash on cart, don't forget to register it to get your 60 coins. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the Piranha Plant. You have until the end of January to do that.
Yep, January 31st, and that code has to be used by the end of January as well.
Yeah,
that you will get in the mail. One thing I do want to mention before we go.
So you should get that email like the day after you register it. So watch your spam filters and stuff right away.
Yeah, definitely watch your spam filters because it's not actually the easiest thing to find.
No, my son completely missed it. He had it for a month and a half before we put it in.
Yeah. So let's take a look at one last thing here, and that is Drew over on our Discord chat has asked us to mention the tournament that is going on right now for the end of the year, which is pretty much the biggest, most epic tournament that can ever be. Guys, you can find the details of it over on the tournaments and leaderboards section of our Discord, which even dollar patrons get access to. There is an absolute bevy of games to play, everything from NES Open Golf to Super Mario Brothers, to Mario Party, to Dr. Mario, Legend of Zelda. And there's even points for Nintendo Dad's merchandise.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, obviously you should have anyway, right?
I forget who, but one of the patrons had done all 21 items.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I did 8 and thought it was good and was like the second to the bottom. Like, really?
Well, Jesse, we have the best absolute fans and Patreon supporters. Speaking of Drew, I'd be remiss. I actually did miss his list. I apologize. He actually said game of the year for him was Super Mario Party. He said first game I ever played with my daughter. Awesome.
Wow.
That's freaking awesome.
That's Nintendo Dad material.
And then he said, I then played Diablo 3 with my daughter and Paladins with my daughter and Dead and Celeste. I kid, but he did mention number 2 was Diablo 3. 3 being Paladins. Paladins was a fantastic game as well.
She was sleeping in his arms while he's playing this.
Yeah, and then, of course, Dead Cells and Celeste. So these are some fantastic games, guys. Again, there's a ton of content. I know that, Tim, I see you're calling me out here saying, hey, you forgot Adventure Pals on your list as well. Again, there's so many great games, guys. So many great games. It's hard to choose.
More than you can really play.
Yeah.
And the thing here, getting back to the tournaments, is this is the end of Season 1 for Nintendo Dad's tournaments, and Season 2 will be kicking off in January. And Drew has already told us it's going to be Smash related. And so if you want to hop in and play against and with your fellow Nintendo Dads, again, $1 a month over in Discord is all it takes to get into, or $1 a month over on Patreon is all it takes to get access to the Discord there. And Yeah, I don't know. I'm so confused, guys. I don't know. I'm all thrown off. But
now
anyway,
12:30 is catching up to us. Now that it's
yeah,
6:30 over there.
absolutely. While we're on the subject, let me make mention that there will be no episode next week due to the Christmas holiday. And so this is the final episode of 2018 for the Nintendo Dads podcast. And we want to thank you guys, as usual, for listening to each and every show. But next week, we will not have a show. We want you to enjoy time with your family, enjoy time with your friends, enjoy time with some games that you need to catch up with. And we'll see you in January with episode 211 and brand new content, and hopefully some cool announcements about Patreon and different things like that. Guys, I guess it's time to take it out of here.
Do it.
All right. Well, we want to say huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Timothy Off, Dave Ernsberger, and Chris Mears. You guys are awesome, and we thank you for being in at that level. You can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads to be just like them and support us and help make great Nintendo Dads content. You can follow us on social media at Nintendo Dads on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can email us at nintendodads@gmail.com. You can call in and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS. And if you want to buy some sweet, sweet Nintendo Dads merchandise, it won't get there by Christmas, but you can go over to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store, all lowercase, and get yourself some of that swag. Huge thanks to OC Remix for the music used throughout the show. And thanks to you guys once again for listening. For me, for Jesse, for Justin, for Gary and Zach, hope you guys have a great night and a great holiday season. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you, and Happy New Year. See ya.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dad.
Maple syrup mooses.
Well done, Jesse. Well done.
Yep.
Were you showing off the new controllers you got there, the NES ones?